All right, folks, we are back here in Seattle, Washington for round some very large number, probably round 22. I see we're getting trolled by our friends Dave Wiegand in first place and Kolton Koehler in third place, getting ready to do battle. Dave is pretty much set to make it into the finals. He's mostly just playing for seed at this point, which is still important as that affords you an extra first in the third game. Kolton, on the other hand, is 13-8, and it looks like he needs to win at least one more game to get himself into the final.
Or look at that spread difference between Kolton and Austin.
Yeah. Wow. So there we have two folks at 13-8 in third and fourth place right now. Kolton has a point spread of 1,113 in third place. Austin Shin in fourth place has a spread of 6. So let's kick things off here. Dave with an opening rack of A, E, E, I, J, and W. And after all of the words that came out of the board or out of the dictionary, one that did not come out because it doesn't have any offensive meaning, A-E-W-I-E. That's what he's played. In fact, is just a fish.
And Kolton despairing that he was not given a D or an N to bingo through.
Yeah. So that's rough. You have tiles like that like almost seem good, and then just don't quite get the thing you need. So what do you see in here for him for his opening play?
There's various plays involving forming BI on row 7. Something like
ABBA? I don't know. Beggy? No. What are you thinking? Do you see anything? I see Gabe.
I was just thinking of random words that definitely don't play because they're too long, like gabapentin. Very long.
I see Gabe Air. Kolton has Jerga spelled out. It's certainly a way to score points and not give too much back. Wouldn't surprise me. Would, of course, give really not much. Looks like Kolton's going to put Jerga down. The BEA works kind of nicely alongside there for a next turn, potentially.
Now, those of you who were with us yesterday saw these two face off in a game where both of them, under not particularly severe time pressure, found ways to make mistakes in the endgame that one would not expect them to make. And unfortunately, Kolton made the last
yes of the game. Well, he's definitely looking to come back here, and all those spellings of Begora could end up very well for him in a sec here. See Rio base as well, but let's see what's Dave looking at before Kolton hopes he can jump out to a big lead to start. Not a big lead, a lead. Anyone see anything interesting here?
Well, something's gone wrong with my screen because right now I'm not seeing anything.
Oh, that's unfortunate. What I can tell you is that Dave has AAENNPY, and Kolton has Begora spelled out on his rack. Dave has a pay lined up, which according to Quackle appears to be the highest unsimmed play at the static level. We'll see if he opts for that. He's kind of gently fondling the tiles as he debates what he's going to do. That could have to do with why he wins so many games. He has a way of
he treats the tiles so nicely, and they just can't help but correspond. Yes, my love. Continue to score me all those beautiful, delicious points.
Exactly. Dave and that Y are becoming good friends, but he's finally decided to move it up towards the front of the board.
Just in terms of pure leave, if there were a good spot to play A off A and Y, that would be where my instincts would lead me. But that, on first glance, doesn't appear to be, I mean, I suppose, awning through the W.
Yeah, somewhat
Or
sacrificial at that point. Yeah. Reasonable time for him to spend thinking. These two play a lot of games together on any given week in Portland, Oregon, part of the same club, alongside yours truly. Notice Dave's been playing a little slower this tournament. Not in a bad way, just slower than usual. Looks like he's considering Napa, perhaps, setting up his Y. Kolton, cycling through bingos, now has habanero spelled out. He's known to like the occasional chili pepper, so it looks like Dave is going to go with the highest scoring play of a pay. Blocks the highest scoring Brio base, but Kolton should be able to bingo pretty well. How long do you spend on a rack like this, Mike, where there's a number of different bingos? You see something like Begura. How long do you look? That's a long time. Turns out Begura is actually the highest scoring bingo here, should he be certain of the 2R spelling. Harbor not far behind. Habanero and Begura with 1 R as was spelled exists as well. I'm pretty sure Kolton knows the various spellings. We're pretty sure he would see from the Y.
And down comes. Okay, that version as well.
That's the one to do, I think.
Yeah, not leaving the A hanging in that triple line.
Oh no, he's adding an S to it. Kolton played a phony. He played Begura. Oh no, I would have thought he knew that. That's coming off the board for sure.
And so it does.
People's word knowledge, I guess, doesn't surprise me. It just keep falling to Dave. That's an easy challenge for Dave, unfortunately. Maybe some board 1 jitters. I'm not sure.
The question is there anything really Dave can do about it? The bingo's going to play no matter what you do, so I'd be kind of inclined to just ignore it. And
yeah, Vimin is so good. It blocks that AW spot. You know, I think he gives Kolton credit for finding Harvard or something like that. So he may as well take out, you know, that spot and force him to try something else. He can now also pretty confidently force Kolton into playing Begura into the triple, and that H is right for Dave to capitalize on points with his pretty decent lead. Also worth noting, Vimin sets up his remaining DEN very nicely for future points. So Kolton won't be out after this, but not how you want it to start.
Instead of being ahead after the bingo, he'll be effectively tied.
Yeah. I don't think we have to worry about Kolton not thinking it's a word period, as he has, played it this time.
It appears this is also on hold.
Oh, wow.
Not anymore. Or well, this might just be a courtesy draw.
Courtesy draw, yeah, it looks like it's an official draw. With probably just thinking about what the valid spellings were for a hot second there. Again, pretty easy for Dave to score some points after forcing Kolton to play out into space. Hefted, of course, stands out immediately. He could play shorter with just heft. I'm sure we'll see one of those, if nothing else.
Looks like I missed a bit of drop. I'm just catching up on the chat. Was Bagora mistakenly pluralized?
Yeah.
Too bad. For those who are wondering, the reason I stepped away very briefly is because someone who I have done commentary with in the past has just arrived in Seattle for a little visit. In the background, I don't know how well my mic will pick him up, but maybe he can say hi briefly. I have the privilege of introducing the wonderful Jason Katz-Brown behind me, a legend in his own right. Hello, Jason.
Hello, great to be here with all these legends, and what a great tournament.
Were you able to hear him come through?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, hi, Jason. Yeah.
Perfect. I see some love for Jason in the chat from Seth Lipkin, from Josh Sokol. Wow. Very good. Wow. Yeah.
The commentaries.
Aaron Bader says we hear him. There you go.
Wow.
A lot of hi, Jasons.
Sean Bruin also says hi, Jason. Nice.
So Dave goes ahead and plays heft for 30, taking a 39-point lead. Kolton has.
But I think, I think Kolton's going to find that nice spot for it, making WAWE make good use of otherwise not so greatly timed W draw. He could go shorter and just play how, setting up his S or potentially some other letters. LONS is it's okay, not great. Sure enough, he's adding on the NO.
How would also open up a bunch of hooks that would.
I have lost Mike for a sec there, but yeah, what he was noting is that how opens a lot of hooks that, maybe remove some control. Of course, the bad side of know-how is it is pretty easy to pluralize or to parallel a top. Nice thing is that it gives Kolton a chance to perhaps draw a bingo on the right side of the board while Dave is distracted with the left side, and it looks like he has done that. We'll see if he has any blank blindness, because he would be playing through the G in Begara, as the G in Jirga does not quite fit. Seems like it'd be pretty straightforward for Dave to play a top know-how, but we'll see if he opts for something else somewhere else on the board. GEY seems kind of straightforward, right?
Yeah. No, he's going with agency on the right side instead.
Okay. Showed up as the second static play, so certainly quite a reasonable choice. Funny he kept the D for degency, the act of being a degen, which we have none of those in the chat, I can absolutely promise you. But a chance for Kolton to revive some hope in blocking Dave's doo-dooer.
As you mentioned, the blank blindness is a real thing, and
yeah,
it's almost the sort of thing where you have to kind of see the possibility of that word. Like, oh, if there were a G, I'd have strigils, and then look at the board and recognize, wait, the blank's a G.
Right. Well, it's even weirder here because there is an open G, so it might be like, oh, strigils. G's not open. Too bad. But we did see this yesterday with Kevin Faley. Oh, ills, and it looks like he's gonna find it. He saw that. It was like, oh, wait a sec, I have it. So he definitely didn't even see the bingo for a sec there.
Cha-ching.
Yeah.
Will Anderson. Yeah, that's possibly leading him some cash money, depending on how things go.
Pick up there for Kolton, kind of back in the game, feeling like momentum back on his side. After an early phony, it's really easy to just kind of feel like you screwed up. It's nice to kind of have the momentum come back to your side.
So Dave,
Aaron in the chat asks, where are you, Jesse, that you and JKB are in the same place? That's kind of funny. For those who don't know that are joining later, I am a flight attendant by trade, so I can be pretty much anywhere in the world on any given day. But to be fair to Jason travels a fair bit himself. So it could really be truly anywhere. But at this particular point in time, we are physically on the tournament site, along with Conrad Bassett-Bouchard. And Mike is joining us remotely, although not from too far away, mind you.
Yeah, we're not far from a place where Mike spent a fair bit of his life as well.
Mm-hmm.
An honorary Seattlean, I suppose you could say, yeah.
Sure, a former Seattlean, but yeah.
Yeah, former, sure, yeah. Seattleite, yeah. Seattlean. Well, you can tell that
it's the demonym.
I need to spend more time sleeping.
Speaking of demonym, I think that's one of the words that's finally being added to NW. I don't know if it was in Collins already, but that's one of those words that's...
Which word?
Demonym.
That wasn't already good in Scrabble?
I believe it's a newer word for at least the North American book. I don't know about Collins, but...
Wow.
It's a word that always should have been a word, but I'm pretty sure that's on the list of things that are... There you go. Yeah. It's a Colin currently.
Okay. Well, it is looking like Kolton is guaranteed to bingo again. So after that phony, he went bingo, big score, bingo, bingo. Whereas Dave is not doing too much.
I mean, this clearly isn't his first rodeo, and it looks like he's going to play as such.
I was hoping maybe he would have played it through the A for ROADEO just for a sec. Would have been kind of funny. I don't know if Cesar is still hanging out in the chat, but as we all know, none of this would have happened without rodeo.
Nice. There's a throwback.
Yeah. Gotta have the throwbacks.
It's a rodeo.
Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Rodeo basically evens the score, but Kolton is going to uneven it. Probably just hooking 2 and playing Tanakers.
Seems like it to me, yeah. But was it Steragen is one of those like Collins 8s that just doesn't seem natural to me. Yeah, unfortunately, Kolton's not far enough ahead where something like Stagnate could ever be the right play. You got to leave that S open. But fortunately for him, I think, again, nothing doing for Dave. One more good draw for Kolton could put this close to out of reach, but we'll see. Oh, Oidium
out of reach is not a word is not a phrase I would want to use to describe any game involving Dave.
True, that's fair. I know we all have some history thinking we've beaten Dave, and then the impossible happens. So,
oof.
In this case,
Oidium or Odium.
Well, it's looking pretty crucial for Dave to take Oidium or the like, because Kolton has drawn another bingo through the E. But I don't think he would be, well, two bingos, in fact. I don't think he would be able to bingo otherwise. Remember, when you're designing any word game, that Dave Wiegand exists.
Yes.
Checks out.
I remember one year when I was up in Seattle, we did a trivia night, and we put together various rounds, and I put together a spot the phonies round, where I gave people groups of 5 words that all looked similar, and then and you had to identify which one was phony, and for bonus points you could try to find the valid anagrams of the phonies. And I did not realize when I was making that round that Dave would be on one of the teams.
Oh yeah, that's not even fair. Well, hey, I want to say thank you to Go Gooplet for the raid. Looks like we have all been gooped. Seems pretty reasonable. Welcome, Goopers. How's the stream?
And Dave goes with Odium on the left side of the board, which does not block the E.
It doesn't, and looks like there's going to be Dave here on the left side is going to get gooped in a lopsided fashion. Those of you joining for the first time, we are playing Scrabble in Seattle, Washington. This is one of the yearly national championships.
And lucky you get to see some of the very best in North America and arguably the world that are playing on stream right now. Very high-level players in our particular game here.
Yeah. Oh, you're just in Seattle for Go. That's cool. Haven't played too much myself. I wish I had played more. Certainly loved the anime growing up, but Kolton's going to throw lopsided down, and kind of a self-descriptive word at this point, as he is now way ahead, kind of getting some revenge perhaps for his last game, playing against Kolton, where Kolton got, well, the first time they played, sorry, off of board 1, over on board 2, Dave beat Kolton, or Kolton beat Dave by about 250, I think. So Kolton looks like he's officially bailed out of his early mistake, as Dave isn't going to be able to do much through that M.
Nightcrawler asks, does the draw bag have a Logitech logo on it?
I'm not sure what the bag is right now. Kolton is flaunting his tiles at his opponent, wishing to send him a message.
Katzenkinder confirms, yes, it is his headset bag.
Okay.
Nice.
So Kolton wants you to know that he would like you to eat cut.
Cut, yes. Very nice.
So
it's
looking pretty good. Yeah, I don't know why I don't hit Control S in the right place. Thought I'd saved it 5 times. I have the noob skills.
Okay, so Kolton with a 100-point lead. decent tiles that don't bingo on this board.
Right. I think there would be a pretty good 9-letter word in clabbers, perhaps through the D and the R, hooking tanagers, etc.
Mm-hmm. For the uninitiated, clabbers is a variant where if the letters played anagram to an acceptable word, then the play is acceptable.
Yeah. Also, a game that Dave is pretty much the best at, so go figure. So if you're Kolton here, as we've talked about before, his spread is way above anyone else's other than Dave. So Kolton's really just going for wins right now. He's up by 100, but if anyone's going to pull off some crazy comeback, it's the person sitting across from him. So in ideal world, I think he's just trying to close the board down. His perhaps top play of Koehler on the left side. Not a bad play, but doesn't really do much. It gives Dave a chance to bingo from the S, play something from the R in rodeo, setting up a big triple lane. I don't know, something crazy through the C. There should be a championships for clabbers. I think that would be a lot of fun. A number of the top clabbers players all being in Portland, Oregon. Maybe we could host something like that one day.
Earlier, Prog Salt, if you're still here in the chat, Prog Salt asked, what's the Cesar lore? Seth Lipkin has kindly provided a link that explains this. Cesar's Rodeos game is annotated game number 12,775 on cross tables. You can look it up there and see a little bit of Scrabble history in action right there.
Yeah. And everyone, of course, knows, well, if you don't know, Cesar being the best Scrabble player ever. But even the best Scrabble player ever makes mistakes sometimes.
Truth.
No, we're kidding. The best Scrabble player never makes mistakes. Cesar's the second best Scrabble player.
So he goes with Cuniel on the left side, which is annoying for Dave because he would have had KEX in that corner to score and clean up his rack significantly. Now he's going to have to find something else.
Yep. So Koehler was an improvement on that play. Being a Collins-only word, I think it's possible Kolton just didn't know the word. Kolton not known for studying words, really. He just certainly not a Nigel memory, but he kind of knows. He can see a word once still and kind of not forget it.
It also helps for those who don't know Kolton's background. Kolton started out playing a variation on Boggle that was called Word Racer back online way back in the day. So he has a lot of that knowledge, just absorbing words from looking at many, many grids of letters and acquiring word knowledge that way over time.
Yeah, and you'll also see a bias in his word knowledge. He knows the 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s pretty much cold. Knows a lot of the 6s. Confidently played it. I think a crawl recently. Insta challenge the L hook on Zoea. Plays Cuniel, which I think means like wedge shaped or something. Not an everyday word. There's no Cuniels. It's not that I know of.
And then, of course, because of the nature of how the letter distribution worked on Word Racer, some of the words that not everyone would know necessarily, like, say, 3 C words, for example, just because those would come up all the time. So, like the Cerisize and Cerix of the world, he knew all those pretty quickly.
Yeah. Looks like Dave has found his other spot for the X there with docks. Looks like he's got box set up, saving rake. Not a bad idea.
I might be more inclined to something like Boxer going up to the top left, throwing open the B for potential bingos, because he's going to need a bingo here to win.
Yeah, I agree with you. The only issue is looking at the bag. There are only 4 vowels remaining out of 15 tiles and only 1 E. So there's a lot of chances that he just draws only consonants and is immediately done. I see your point. In almost any other situation, I would agree. In this case, I'm not so sure. but we'll see what he draws here. Still a blank unseen, and there it is. Oh my goodness, Z blank coming out.
Kolton's going to.
We'll see
looks
what
like
he can do with that.
Looks like he's going to block the best, or at least the most obvious bingo line with Vestal. Although that, if our count of tiles is right, that would empty the bag, which is always a dangerous thing to do. But it might put him ahead by enough that it would be worth it.
Could be. I mean, you got to be a little scared seeing just the higher scoring tiles unseen, knowing that if you empty the bag, you risk your opponent
Can I get
going out and catching you with a bunch.
Yeah, I didn't realize. Yeah, the Q and the Z. Can we get the tile bag updated?
Yeah, it's saving right now.
Yeah, that. Okay, which means something like Venal, which he's lining up, would at least trade the S for an E, which is not much of an improvement, but would also leave one in the bag and give him a chance to dump some of those bad tiles if he draws them.
Yeah, I mean, there's really just no reason to empty the bag here. There's just too good of a chance you draw the Q. You need to have a chance to at least save, anything with the Q, honestly.
So, coming back to Dave's rack, the 7-letter bingo Carzes does not appear to play anywhere. Nor does the... Oh! If the U is, in fact, in the right spot for the lovely Muzak ear.
Wow.
Which, if there's one person I trust to find that, it's Dave.
I did not even see that spot down there. Goodness gracious. That's incredible.
Yeah.
I know the word, didn't see the spot. Goodness.
It's not. It might be too little too late, because while Kolton has drawn the Q, he's drawn a U to go with it. And
exactly.
I'm not going to dignify how Kolton has arranged his rack with a response.
I like it.
I'm also a bit of a troll when I'm lucky enough to play on board one, but Dave and Kolton are like easily the two folks who make all the joke words.
The trolliest.
We've seen fewer from Dave this game, but I know there was one this morning where he was doing all sorts of funny stuff.
He binged.
He binged. So I don't know. Could this be a rare time where Dave misses a bingo? I think he's going to find it, but all we can do is be quiet and wait. Yeah, could he fish off one or something? Is there some crazy thing he can go for? I don't know.
I think he's got to play it. He's just got to hope maybe that Kolton can't play the Q for much or get stuck with it. I mean, stuck is probably not going to happen given the board, but he's got to probably try and outrun, I think. I don't think he can if he just plays one.
Yeah, if the last tile was a U, where would Kolton play the Q? See, I don't know that one. He'd be able to drop it for 21.
Mm-hmm. All we can do is wait here to see if Dave will make this a close game. Again, spread's not going to be much of a concern for either of these two players. Kolton just really needs a win, and he's going to get that. Dave could fish for the U and play off the E and go for music here for more points. Probably. I think Kolton would probably block the E in that case, but
I mean, he would want to, but it's not obvious how.
yeah. Now, usually when Dave is on the live stream, if he sees a bingo, he will spell it out. So I'm inclined to say he has not yet seen Uzaki or
Nightcrawler is one of our raiders asking, do you lose if you run out of time, or is it like a point penalty? Very good deduction. It is a point penalty in this case. It is 10-point deduction per minute or portion of a minute used when you go past 0. So if it is 0.0001, it's like -1 second, that counts as 10 points lost, even if you don't use the whole minute. And 1 minute 1, maybe 20, and so on and so forth.
Dave's starting to play around with that blank, which makes me wonder if he's seen it, but still haven't seen it spelled out on the rack, which is usually a dead giveaway from him. Well, from anyone, but he tends to give us that dead giveaway. Make our jobs easier. He's going to have to do something soon because he's almost out of time. Only a couple minutes remaining, whereas Kolton has nearly half his time left.
And I think it's worth pointing out here, whether it's Dave or not, this is actually a good position to use up most of your remaining time in, given how good the rack is and how he's behind. But I mean, I'm not going to say impossibly out, but pretty close to impossibly out. So you want to see if you give yourself any chance at coming back with a pulling the win out of the hat here, where it's otherwise unlikely. This is a good time to use a bit more of your time left, because if you don't hit the draw that you're possibly looking for, or it doesn't go well, you can really quickly play through the end game with a single tile is always going to draw if he were to play all 7 on his rack. And even if he doesn't play all of them, he's only going to draw 1 tile. So,
right. I mean, that's the thing, is you can use a lot of your time to iterate through all of your 1 tile fishes.
Yeah. Nightcrawler says, I'm not a raider. I actually came from Will Anderson's new YouTube video. I'm sorry, Nightcrawler. I thought you were part of the raiding party here. My bad. It is good to have you here from Will's video as well.
Well, Dave has officially played off his K. We'll have to find out later. He actually passed up the bingo for some reason, but I think this might just be a reminder that even Dave Wiegand is human. We see another Koehler in the chat right now. Dave had Muzaki here.
That said, this is not necessarily over. He does have to worry about Lazarite up in the top left.
Laterize?
Laterize. I was thinking of something else. But I don't think there's a second bingo to worry about. In the forwards backwards of the version of the game, Yarzit or Craziest would be.
Yep.
So the question now becomes, can Kolton block Laterize and play off the Q? Well, he doesn't need to do both if that's the only bingo.
Yeah. But does he feel confident enough? Because all of a sudden you are sitting there with the Q on your rack. Say you play fret or something. You keep the Q, and then Dave plays something crazy down at the bottom, and you just gave your opponent 30 points. And Kolton does not care about spread here. He just needs to win. Right. So he may just go ahead and, I'm not suggesting it's a good idea to concede the bingo, but if there was a better play, I think he's just going to play QUA, realistically. That's kind of the safest thing. But
And speaking of turns where it's okay to use a bit of time, given Kolton has 9.5 minutes, more or less, at this point in time, if he's not sure, it is a great time for him to use that up and make sure he's not handing over a bunch of points.
Yeah.
This is why we bank that time when it's possible earlier in the game, because you do need it for things like this.
He has as we notice, QU on his rack, suggesting he's seen the play of just simply Qua.
Now, if he could be sure that there was no, okay, he's going to play quartet, which also makes sense. Any valid word that blocked that spot and or used the Q was probably going to be enough.
Yep, and this, obviously isn't going to sim as well because it gives Dave a solid spot to play ZIT coming back, but it does guarantee an out in 2 and guarantees that Latterize won't get played. So you get to feel pretty confident. Dave would have to somehow put the Z on one of those double letter scores ending in a C in order to pull out a crazy win here.
And I think this is like evidence as well. Like Kolton's knows he's got a massive spread and doesn't have to worry about it. So he's making, I think, a very reasonable, quick equity play in the sense that for the most part should deal with anything easy that's like IZE or what have you. Like it's a pretty safe option to get rid of his Q and do that.
Yeah. Could be a rare time that Dave goes over on time. Wow. You do not see Dave Wiegand go over on time very often. I think what he's probably realizing is he's still got couple more minutes worth of time to still win the game should he find something ending in C. He's down 118 at the moment.
Now effectively 128. He would need to score 121, I believe, if my math is right.
Is it 118? Where would be the...
Well, he's now down 128. There's 8 on his rack. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So then I think, yeah, I think he's already too far behind then.
So he plays Zoetic for 52.
Second only to Zytek in terms of points. And Kolton will now spend 8 more minutes deciding where to put his F. Any Fs in chat?
F.
Kolton is certainly playing that F to pay respect. He'll play of actually missing out on 1 point. Played if for 13, a couple spots over. But this is good enough.
Solid round of Fs in the chat. Very good.
Good, good. That is a big, big, big win for Kolton. You can tell he's pretty happy. F's in chat to support him. Thank you all for that. I have to imagine that's going to get Kolton very, very, very close to a guaranteed spot in the finals with only 2 left and a massive spread. He's that person we talked about where maybe only one person at 14 wins could make the finals. Kolton's got that spot all locked up. Certainly one more win and he's in, but he could even still be good if he finishes 0-2. We'll be awaiting the additional results here. Does look like Austin Shin picked up another win. The scoring has continued again. But I think we're going to go to a break for a few more minutes before we bring you the final 2 games of the day. Hopefully we'll have some closer games, kind of not particularly close thus far. First half of this game was interesting, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, taking a break here from Seattle, and we will be back in just a few minutes.